Wow, look at us. We are already in the last episode of the Must Listen to the Groups section that I created and that has been running for the last couple of weeks. In this episode, we are going to talk about high-intensity groups. So if you like your music to have tons of energy, to be really intense, unpredictable at times, and really fun, this is the episode for you. So let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge. I am your host, Vanessa, and in this episode, let's talk about the must-listen to the groups that have really high-intensity music. So, we are talking about groups that are really full of energy. And you will be thinking, but Vanessa, isn't that really counterproductive for you because you say that you don't like groups with high energy and really pop-driven? You are assuming that I'm going to talk about pop music, but I'm not. Or at least I'm not going to talk directly about pop music. So I did a really interesting twist in which the groups that I bring are not necessarily pop. They have elements of that. One of those is actually pop music, but the others are not pop. They are rock bands, actually. But I bring you a ton of energy if you like your music to be really upbeat, if you like to have a playlist in which the music is all made to pump you up and to get you excited for things. I have the thing for you. Actually, I have 3 bands or groups for you. I'm going to start with Solids. And you will be thinking, oh no, that sexy band that sounds cheesy at times. Yet, I'm a massive fan, so I am allowed to say that they sound cheesy. If you are not a fan, you cannot say they sound cheesy until you listen to them, okay? Most fans will tell you, Solids is an endearing pop group. They have a slightly cheesy take on sexy pop music, full of innuendos and of double entendres. They are all about that. They are playing around with themes that are more intimate. They use a ton of metaphors to refer to some things that you will understand what they are when you listen to their music. They are a fun time. I've never had this much fun with a 2D group until I became a massive fan of Solids. Of course, granted, I was not listening to a lot of 2D music when the group debuted in 2015, but because also there were not many 2D groups at that time, or even 2D music projects at that time, but they have a really special place in my heart, even if they sound cheesy at times. But they are those cheesy goofballs that I love a whole lot, so I always recommend them because you already know what you are going to get with them. Their music is slightly predictable, especially their early repertoire is really predictable. I would say the music in the last 5 years has not been predictable, but in the first 5, it was fairly predictable. Aside from 1 or 2 collections of CDs, for example, the Kachu Fugetsu collection, in which all the songs for all the groups in the Tsukipro franchise were really unique, and some were unexpected even. In this case, Solids were really consistent at the start with their sexy sound, their raunchy lyrics at times, and the whole mature vibe that they bring to their music. If there's a group that sounds mature from start to finish, it is Solids. Even, once again, if they sound cheesy. They're a fun time. Their core is a passionate, intense sound. Regardless if they are performing pop music, dance music, or rock music. Now they even have jazz and ballads as well. They are really versatile. The group didn't start as versatile as they are right now. On the vocal end, you have Takuya Guchi, Natsuki Hanae, Soma Saito, and Yuichiro Umehara. And while the group didn't start that well, because let's really conclude this, Yuichiro Umehara was not really a good singer when he started performing with Solids. Takuya Guchi was a bit all over the place, but completely changed. Same thing with Yuichiro Umehara. They are unbelievably good right now. Soma Saito didn't have that much confidence about his singing, although he is, and he was since the start, a really strong singer. And Natsuki Hanae has always been the same. Really strong singer. The group was fun at the start. They were not overly technical. because also the music didn't require them to be overly technical. But with time and with some collections within the Tsukipro franchise that all the groups performed, they started to showcase some technicality and showcase more emotion behind all that feisty, powerful, and passionate sound that they have. They started to be really different. And this is where I usually tell that while Solids may sound cheesy at the first listen, when you dive deep into their repertoire, they are not really that cheesy. There are a couple of songs that are perhaps 10 songs in over 100 are cheesy, but not all, as you can tell. So yeah, they have really an interesting depth to their music. They have really powerful lyrics most of the time. While they are playful and mature and they are really sexy most of the time, they still have that sense of time and place when they use that. And now more than ever, especially because the group is growing older with the fans, the members are already 30 years old. I'm not talking about the SEIYUU, I'm talking about the 2D members. They are already, some of them, over 30 years old. So the group has started with them younger and they are growing old with their fans. And their music is basically replicating or representing the stage in which they are right now in their career. They are more mature, they sound more confident, they sound more sure of their sound. They are trying to corner a niche for them now that whole upbeat, sexy vibe no longer sounds okay for a 30-year-old man or a group with 30-year-olds. So they are now venturing more towards the jazz vibe and having a more mature sound, even when they have their take on rock music. I like this a whole lot. Once again, there are very few groups that you can say in 2D music that they have a sound that evolves over time and evolves with the age that the characters have, because most of the times the characters don't even change their age or barely change their age in the span of 10 years. And that leads to music that doesn't represent anything or anyone, is completely at odds with the SEIYUU, who have grown older, with the fans who have grown older as well, and the characters that should have grown older but haven't. In this case, when you go to Solids, you actually have all of that in tune. The group is growing older alongside their fans. Fans find that endearing. I love that as a concept. Although I am aware that when the group members hit their 40s, maybe Solids will no longer be around. There will be a time in which they will pass the baton to a different group or a different generation of groups within the same franchise. We don't know. But since we have a member of the group that has a composer role, I feel that this is the next step for the Tsukipro franchise, to have a new generation which will be taught by these groups, in this case Solids, let's assume. I like this a whole lot. I like that prospect of, in the future, probably, the Tsukipro franchise will evolve to a point in which we'll have the members of each of the 4 main groups mentoring different groups that will basically take on their torch and keep that vibe alive while the franchise welcomes a new batch of younger SEIYUU and nurtures both them and the group and the new wave of fans until they grow older. I like this a whole lot. So when I recommend Solids, I usually talk about their music is really intense, really upbeat, and you have tons of songs that will drain your energy right on the spot. They have many fun tunes that you will sing along, you will also find cheesy, and will basically want to dance along with that. Bernie is one of those examples. It's one of the fastest paced songs that they have, really intense, really sexy, of course really passionate, that's the core of their sound. But you have plenty of other songs that are in the same vein. It's rarer to find music in their repertoire that is quiet or more introspective than the music that is really upbeat and intense, regardless if it is more leaning towards pop or more leaning towards rock. They usually do those two genres really well. Now they have blended as well ballads and jazz music. So I would say high intensity group, yeah, Solids is the thing for you. Then we have KAGARIBI. KAGARIBI is a rock band, the heaviest rock band in the Dear Vocalist franchise. They are really intense. Their sound is more of a punk rock sound, which is fast, intense. It plays with abandon. It is crazy and fast and sometimes quite violent. And I like that about rock music. I'm not the biggest fan of punk rock, so mind you, while I love KAGARIBI, when their songs are more punk rock, I'm not as keen about them, but they have a ton of fast-paced, intense rock tunes that will have you headbanging, will make you beg for more shredding, more headbanging, and everything else in between. Their music is really fun. If you like rock music and you like your rock music really intense, that barely lets you stop and take a breather, KAGARIBI has the thing for you. It's really high intensity, really fun. The lyrics are really, really good. They tie up perfectly with the drama CDs. But of course, if you don't want to listen to the drama CDs, or you don't have how to listen to the drama CDs, their music is more than enough to understand the story that is going on in the Dear Vocalist franchise. Of course, if you don't know anything about the Dear Vocalist franchise, you have a video on the Hand That Feeds HQ's official YouTube channel in which I do a really brief breakdown about the franchise so that you can understand what is the main concept, the groups, the members, the seasons that they have, as well as the main focus in terms of the theme that all of these bands seem to explore and barely anyone pays attention to. So this is a really interesting group band in this case. It is a 2-member group, but only one of the members sings. In this case, KAGARIBI is led by Judah. Judah is voiced by Soma Saito. We have talked plenty about Soma Saito in this feature, not because I'm a massive fan of his, of course I am, but because he happens to be in some of the best 2D groups that you can find, which is really good because when it comes to anime, Saito usually doesn't choose the best projects. So, at least one thing he is actually doing right with the 2D groups that he ends up being a part of. This was a side note that maybe you were not expecting. So yeah, KAGARIBI has really intense, fun music that you can listen to. If you are a rock fan, you are going to enjoy their music a whole lot. They are also the most romantic band, so while their sound may be quite aggressive at times, underneath it all, there's a ton of romance. So if you like your music to be that grumpy, sort of moody, but still romantic at their tone, I feel that you are going to listen and enjoy their music a whole lot. You can find their music easily on streaming platforms, so go ahead and check them out. And to wrap it up, I'm going to bring as well another group or band from the Dear Vocalist franchise, because this franchise is plentiful when it comes to quality and uniqueness. It is Veronica. I could have brought NSFW because their music is really intense and really dance-driven, really chaotic, but there's a ton of things going on in the background that make that group sound sometimes a bit the same between songs. What I wanted to bring you here is a band that every song is a completely different music genre. This is chaotic, this is high intensity and high energy. The lyrics will make you think twice, though. Momochi is quite intense. Momochi is voiced by Toshiki Toyonaga. Once again, you are listening and you are hearing me talking about Toshiki Toyonaga quite a lot. Once again, he was picked up for really awesome projects, and that shows in the way that he has been a cornerstone for most 2D groups that we have talked about in this feature. Veronica usually is a band with an eclectic style. They don't follow a specific music genre. While you can say that at their core they are a rock band, beyond that you cannot say much more, because they have traditional Japanese music, they have enka, which is a really tricky Japanese singing style and music genre. They have sometimes dance music, strong EDM, deep EDM, sometimes really down-tempo EDM. Other times they have a really eerie, dark sound, which will make you think twice when you listen to the songs. Other times they are really aggressive and fast-paced. They bring that punk rock sound that you heard me talking about with KAGARIBI. And other times they really are sort of happy-go-lucky in their sound and sound more pop than they probably should. So you have tons of variety here. They go from pop to rock to enka to jazz to hip-hop. They do a little bit of everything, and they can do it all because, once again, Toshiki Toyonaga is behind the mic and he can do everything. In case you haven't noticed, this is your call to check Toshiki Toyonaga's music. Is unbelievable, or check any of the 2D groups he's a part of, because they are also amazing. So yeah, Veronica is a really unique band. They bring a ton of energy. Their music sometimes is a bit intense, even for me, and I'm not really the biggest fan of intense music because I'm the type of person that if I listen to something really intense, it drains me instead of giving me energy. Some people are the complete opposite. You listen to high tempo music and you get really pumped up and excited. For me, it drains me and I need to put pause and I need to listen to something quieter because that's too much energy for me. But their music is really fun at their core. And you have not only the technicality on the instrumentals, you have that innovation when it comes to you don't know what to expect with every single song that they drop because there are no two songs in their repertoire that sound the same. Veronica is a band that doesn't sound the same to anything they have done before. While they bring elements that they have used in the past or music genres that they have explored in the past, the way they approach them when it comes to the composition is always completely different. And the way that Toshiki Toyanagi is singing is always completely different. So you have tons of variety here. They are really high intensity. Of course, if you want to go even more intense within this franchise, you need to check NSFW. They are primarily an EDM band. They are extremely intense and chaotic. I was not going to bring them directly because I feel that we have talked about EDM a lot. And I feel that people should get to know bands and groups that sound slightly different or are disruptive in some capacity because these are the outliers. These are the groups that most people don't even bother to check sometimes. I noticed because when you look at the groups that are more popular, in this case, in the Dear Vocalist franchise is an exception. Veronica is actually the most famous or popular group within the franchise, followed by KAGARIBI. When it comes to other franchises, and I've talked about other groups, some groups are not really that popular. Some of the unique ones that I talked about, either within their franchises or outside of their franchises, even if their music is really good. And you should check because this is the easiest music that you can get into, especially if you are looking for specific music genres or specific vibes. So yeah, in this episode we talked about, and this one was a really high energy episode to match the high energy groups, and I'm going to keep it short in comparison with the other episodes in this feature. So yeah, let's go to the next section. So we wrap up this talk about the must listen to the groups. This one was the high intensity edition because I like to create editions. That's crazy. But yeah, you have various episodes that you can check right now in case you haven't and you are catching these by chance. In case you have followed all the episodes, thank you very much for following all the episodes. If you see someone wanting to try to get into a specific music genre or a specific group or a specific SEIYUU, and you find one of these episodes really helpful, please share it with them. I like the idea of introducing others to music and to new SEIYUU or to SEIYUU that are new to them, as well as to different music genres, different experiences as well. This was the main focus with these episodes, was to make it so that people coming across this podcast, because not everyone coming up across this podcast knows even about the Hand That Feeds HQ, the website in which I write about SEIYUU and I write reviews about the music that SEIYUU and to the groups basically release. And the focus was on giving them also a taste of what they could get if they want to actually dive deeper into SEIYUU and to the music in specific performed by male SEIYUU. So I feel that these were a really awesome set of episodes. We are now nearing the end of the year, so we are going to start with the end of the year episodes in a couple of weeks or next week, I'm not sure. You guys will know better because I'm recording these episodes ahead of time. But yeah, thank you very much for sticking around. Let me know if you enjoy the music of any of these three groups. They are among my favorites: Solids, KAGARIBI, and Veronica. Let me know which are the songs that you like the most. If you would recommend any songs to newcomers, which songs would they be? And also, how did you find those groups? Which is also pretty interesting how people come across those groups. Was it by chance? Were you looking for music performed by your favorite SEIYUU? Were these something that popped up on your feed and you decided to check? Or you watched an anime and you actually wanted to get more into a specific group? This is the case, for example, for Solids, and many people that came across Solids only recently, because Dear Vocalist doesn't have an anime or a game or anything else. So I would love to know how you came across these groups. These would be really awesome to share with us, and not only me, who will be reading and replying as well, but everyone else that may come across this episode. So thank you very much for watching this episode. If you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, don't forget to review this episode. It helps a ton, or review the podcast as well. And if you are on YouTube, And if you have yet to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you get content like this every single week in your feed, and you will enjoy a whole lot more male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups, and you will get more into what is happening and what is, well, what you should check and everything else in between. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. It helps a lot with exposure and bringing more people to watch these episodes and spread the word about male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.